All right, all right. Welcome to today's interview. We have Flip Your Future with Ryan Pineda. Ryan is a former professional baseball player, real estate investor who is now based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He's the author of Flip Your Future, and he leads with passion that inspires massive action, not only in his immediate network, but in the online community as well. So welcome on board, Ryan.
Hey, happy to be here, Ben.
Absolutely. So I know you've had a lot of wins, in life and business, and it's probably been a great couple years for your company. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you transitioned out of being a professional baseball player into flipping houses and some of the similarities across those two platforms as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I started flipping houses while I was still playing baseball. So,
Okay.
I think that taught me a lot about delegating because, I literally couldn't go do these things that most people go do on their own. So
Right.
I had to figure out how to get other people to do stuff for me when I was in another state. So I think that was a really big blessing for me being able to, have that opportunity. Whereas most people, they try and do everything themselves. And that's usually why they don't scale, because they have a hard time letting go. So that was great, starting to flip while I was playing baseball. But as far as like principles and things baseball's taught me, I mean, there's just so much that goes on with being an athlete in terms of, discipline, in terms of working hard, in terms of always trying to improve. Those same things apply to business for sure.
Absolutely. What would you say thus far has been your largest struggle or largest challenge that you've had to work past in your business?
Largest struggle. I would say early on for me, it was the money. And I think a lot of people have that issue, right? They say, well, I don't have any money right now. How do I get started? Or,
Right.
I don't know anybody with any money. And that was my problem. That's why I didn't start for a long time. And, it wasn't until I actually found somebody else to fund my deals that I started being able to scale my business. So that was definitely my biggest struggle. It's not a struggle anymore. We've got a lot of funding, so that's never an issue when we have a deal. I would say my biggest struggle now is the contractor side of it. Being able to manage this many projects and find contractors who are good and reliable and fairly priced. That's the next biggest hurdle for me.
Absolutely. How many projects do you have going on any given month on average?
For the last couple months, we've been averaging about 70 properties at a time.
Whew.
And so that's,
Golly.
they're not all being renovated at once. That's
Right.
every part of the flip, whether it's I already own it, but we haven't worked on it yet, or we're under construction right now, or we finished, but it's on market, or we've already accepted an offer. Now we're just waiting to close. So
Right.
yeah, right now, I think we've got about 70 on the board.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For someone just starting out in real estate, what's that one nugget of advice that you would give them?
The one nugget, man, I would say seek out somebody in your local community who's doing what you want to do. A lot of these people, they may not want to work with you, or they may not really have time for you, but find somebody who's willing to work with you. And, don't expect them to give you anything. You've got to provide them value some way, somehow. But I know that, I can give you all the advice in the world and all the principles for flipping and everything, but everybody's local market is different. And so you need somebody with experience in your local market who can tell you like, hey, here's the price point you should be at, here's the finishes you need for your local market. Here's, the best areas to flip in. So I would get somebody who's got some experience where you want to be.
Sweet. I'm big on mindset. I talk about that a lot. My morning routines are sacred, because I feel like if you win the morning, you win the day. And learning how you can sculpt your life's vision and really invest in yourself it's become a huge point for my personal development. What are some routines that you implement, early on in the morning and that keep you productive throughout the day?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in that as well, man. I started doing, I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Miracle Morning.
Oh yeah, Hal Elrod.
Yes. Yep. So I read that book probably about 3 years ago, and it definitely made me realize how important the morning routine is. Before that, I was on and off in the morning. Some days I'd do some stuff, other days I wouldn't, if I felt like getting out of bed, whatever. After I read that, I said, all right, I'm going to make a commitment to doing this every single morning, regardless of what I've got going on, when I have to wake up, where I am. I'm going to carve out an extra hour of when I need to be up. And so, I do that every single day now. My morning routine is the same every day. So, I'll wake up, I'll take a shower, then I'll go over to my table, get a cup of coffee or, a pre-workout if I have the gym that day. And I'll sit there and I'll read my Bible and I'll pray and I'll also journal. And then I'll go hit the gym after. So I'm telling you, it's helped me develop, spiritually, mentally, physically, just every kind of way you can develop. I look back now, I remember I used to think just writing in a journal was stupid. I'm like, why would I write in a journal? Like it's dumb. Like everybody knows reading is good. Any type of believer knows praying is good, but writing in a journal, you're like, man, I just don't see the benefit of it. But now I look back and I have all my journals from the last 3 years and I see like, dang, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Like I wrote it down and, 6 months later, I reached it. And, right. I'm not a believer in, like this law of attraction stuff and The Secret and all that, like whatever, that ain't me. But I do believe that if you're constantly writing your goals down, you're constantly thinking about them, you're going to find ways to make them happen. You can't not make it happen.
I love that. Yep. I follow Gary Vee a lot too, and he talks about documenting the journey. And journaling, that's been a huge part of my personal development as well, because you can actually put your thoughts down on paper, which almost creates a roadmap for you to follow, right? You map those goals down and hold yourself accountable. It's almost kind of like, bringing out your purpose and just putting it on paper. And then you have something that you can materially look at and figure out how to get where you want to be. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. The other thing I like about journaling is it allows you to really define what it is you want to do. Most people really don't have a clear definition of where they want to go.
Right.
And so if you can just figure out, all right, this is where I want to be, here's the time frame, then you can work backwards. All right, well, how am I going to make that happen? If this year, I like to have 2018 goals, and then I like to have my big long-term goals.
Right.
And so, it's like, all right, in 2018, if I want to flip 100 houses, how do I do that? What's that look like? Okay, let me reverse engineer this. That means exactly. I need to flip, basically 9 houses a month. All right, if I'm going to flip 9 a month, how am I going to find 9 deals? How much capital do I need to do that? How many contractors does that look like? Yep. And then you just really can figure it out. All right, well, this is how I do it.
It's funny how you break it down. And at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. It comes down to a mathematical equation almost, right? Like how many offers do I need to submit in order to lock up this many properties, right?
Yep.
It's all part of your process. And that's huge. I think as people progress in the journey, mapping out your systems and your processes that kind of create that map in a sense of where you want to go.
Yeah.
I think one 100%. Of the big struggles that I think any entrepreneur deals with is confidence, because it's a roller coaster and you're constantly going through the motions and, you got your ups, you're on top of the world, smashing it, got some good deals in the pipeline, and then you got your downs. How do you keep yourself on track? And I know you're a man of faith too. I'm huge on that. I think that God equips us, and the more that we abide in that presence, he really opens up those opportunities. But how do you keep yourself in that right mental mindset?
Well, man, I think it goes back to what you just said. For me, it comes down to my faith and that I know that, hey, regardless of what happens, I'm going to be all right.
Right.
Through the good and the bad, I'm going to be all right. And I actually just made a video about this, like the struggle. A lot of people want to, basically avoid the struggle. They don't want to do it. Right. And, the Bible talks about like, hey, your struggle makes you persevere and then it brings about your character and that gives you hope. And I think that's Romans 5:4. And, for me, it's like, all those things that I've struggled with throughout my life, whether it be baseball, whether it be starting out in real estate, whether it be, a deal gone south, whatever, they've all built me up to who I am today, and they've all created the character that I have today. And so it's like, all right, now if I know, all right, because not every deal is roses, man. I mean, I've had losers before. I've had deals that broke even. Like, not every deal just is the best deal ever. But I ended up realizing, like, dude, the struggle's good, man. It makes you stronger. And as long as you remember that while you're going through it, you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to look back at this and I'm going to realize that was a good thing it happened.
Absolutely. So I don't know how many people we have on today, Ryan. I know it is midday. A lot of people are working. But for anyone tuning in, y'all drop a hashtag, type live, let us know you're on board. We'd love to hear your feedback. Again, we're encouraging growth in this community, and it's our sincere hope just to add as much value as possible. So any questions you might have, feel free to chime in. But we're going to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about your new book, Flip Your Future. I want to hear about the inspiration behind this and how you've really held yourself accountable to getting that down there and getting it written.
Yeah, so, I had it on my heart last year to write a book. And, I knew that there'd be a lot of things I could give, flippers or people who are trying to flip. And, I know there's so many gurus out there that are just trying to upsell on every single thing. And so I said, you know what? I do want to write a book, but what if it flops? What if nobody buys it and it's just a big waste of time? So I kind of didn't do it. And then I ended up going to Grant Cardone's thing in 10X earlier this year in Vegas. And I remembered they just had Russell Brunson on the stage and Ty Lopez on the stage. And just whatever they said that day really clicked with me. It was like, all right, I need to write this book now. And that was just like the kick I needed. And I just said, you know what? Even if it doesn't work out, then I still did it. And, I can look back at it and be still proud of it, even if it didn't sell. And so I started writing it. And I actually wrote it pretty quickly. It took me about a month to write it. And, that was just nonstop, pen to paper. I didn't have a ghostwriter or anything and no writing experience, but I just figured it out. And then the editing process, I didn't realize was going to take so long. That took probably a good 3 to 4 months of the publishing company, edits back and forth, creating a book cover, writing all the, the selling points, author biographies, all this stuff. And, it just takes them so long. It wasn't anything I could do about it. That's how long they take. And so finally, after about 5 months, the book was launched. And, then just came more problems. Like, it was never in stock. Like, they keep telling me, oh, well, it's Amazon's fault. They don't order enough. So I call Amazon like, oh, no, it's your publisher's fault. They can't, make enough of them. I'm like, man, somebody's got to take responsibility. So anyways, it was a big learning process throughout the whole thing. Now it is in stock. And, it's got a lot of reviews. I've had a lot of testimonials of people saying they got their first deal after reading it. And so to me, regardless of if it sells another copy, like, it's been a huge success already. I mean, the fact that I've already helped, at least 10 people I know of get their first deal just from reading a $10 book, that's priceless. And, it's pretty cool to see that.
I love that. Yeah, I love figuring out how you can craft your vision, right? And you talk about knowing what you want, reverse engineering your goals, figuring out how to get there. But, I believe that each and every one of us has this universal creativity living deep inside of us. And I'm sure that we all have a book hidden deep inside, but it's just having the discipline, stepping out and doing the consistent action that does that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it gives you credibility as an expert within your field where you can, add tons of value, help people on their journey. And at the end of the day, I don't think there's much more greater piece of living than that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll be with me forever. And I can tell you how much time it saved me, because before that, I would have people messaging me all the time, like, the questions that are answered in that book, where do I get money? How do I find deals?
Right.
All these things. And I'd always have to, give this long answer and say, hey, look, here's what you can do. Here's the different ways. And then now it's just like, hey, read it.
Yep. I love it.
Done.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
That's a cool thing about having, large role models. You talk about all the great achievers, and they all have a daily reading habit, right? Because you can devour a book in, a day, a week, and you can literally fast track your life by learning from other people's mistakes, right? Or learning some of the best tips and tricks in the industry, like pick up Ryan's book. You know, it'll probably, I could guarantee it's going to answer just about any question that you might have if you're looking to start flipping, right?
Yeah,
It
100%.
helps us to grow and expand. And at the end of the day, that's really what the essence of life is.
Yeah, no doubt. Sorry, my dog's going crazy.
You're good. I was
Toby.
thinking about closing my door because I'm like, it's only a matter of minutes before my dogs start freaking out too.
Yeah, Toby, come here, man. I don't know what they hear, but whatever.
He's a part of the team. Let's meet the team.
He's part of the team. Yeah, he don't want to come here. He's camera shy.
Yeah, sweet. So what's your best piece of business advice before we let you go, man?
The best piece. There's so many, things. I would say starting out, be very disciplined with your money. A lot of people, they are very undisciplined because, either they spend too much or they spend it on the wrong things. And your money, especially starting out, is so important. You cannot waste it on anything that's not going to help your business. I see a lot of people, they get their first wholesale deal, right? And they make, just call it $20,000. And then you see them the next day on a vacation or, buying a car or something stupid. And I'm like, dude, you just put yourself back so many steps. Like, get your reward later on. If you do that, it's like that 20,000 can take you to the next level so much faster than if you cut it in half,
right.
So it's so important. Later on, once you've, done a bunch of deals and you got money, yeah, sure. Go spend the 20,000, go get your car or whatever you want to do. That's cool. But until then, you can't waste any money starting out.
Live today like no one else so you can live tomorrow like nobody else, right?
That's a good saying. I like that.
Yep. All right. Well, aside from business, because it's super important to have a healthy work and life balance. And that's something my wife keeps me disciplined with every single day. It's like, your time's done working. Let's start investing in us and family. And I think it's good to have that reality check. And I might have just answered your question, but in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
The key to happiness, man. For me, obviously, I think it just comes down to faith. Like, you got to realize this life, is very limited. So you got to start thinking about what's next. And I already know my future secured through God. But, also the other thing is so many people think material things or money is going to give them happiness. And I can tell you that's just totally not the case. Like, I have the same amount of joy as I had when I had no money, just not too long ago, to having money now and to having a big team and doing all these things. The joy hasn't changed at all.
Right.
And, if people are thinking like, all right, once I buy my dream house or my dream car, then I'm going to be fulfilled. It's not going to fulfill you. I can promise you that. So you can get the answer right now today.
Right.
But you got to believe it.
Yep. If you're not content and happy balancing a $45,000 checkbook, what makes you think that God is going to bless you and trust you with $1 million checkbook, right? Just
exactly.
Principle. You find abundance right where you're at.
Exactly.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Again, this is Ryan Pineda. You guys can find his new book, Flip Your Future, on all channels. Go on Amazon, type it up, and it'll pop right up.
Yep.
Where can we find you online, Ryan, for anyone that might want to connect?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on Facebook and Instagram. If you go to All Star Investor, you'll find me on those social medias. You can also go to my website, ryanpineda.com, and I've got all my stuff on there, books, courses, etc. So definitely check that out as well.
Awesome. Ryan, I don't know if you remember when we first met. You actually reached out to me in regards to a quadplex that I had in LaPorte, Indiana.
Okay.
You were inquiring about it. I think it was probably 2.5 years ago. That was the first property I ever bought, man. I bought it out of tons of risk and stuff, man. And it was a big old headache, but that caused me to, kind of rework my vision. And I stepped into wholesaling and just really systematized that. But that's where we initially linked up, man. And then you connected me and Dante in the past. But
that's right. Okay.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you for the value, and I look forward to connecting you in the future, bro.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.